Hi, welcome to ORPtv. I'm Craig Stegner, and we are on location today at Bears Sports Grill on South Campbell. And this is a very special edition of ORPtv interviews in that normally all of our interviews are based around the racing industry, but about a year and a half ago, I was about to walk out of an IHOP, and in walks this physical specimen of a girl who's strong and tough and confident, and her family, and they're carrying all these belts. And I just had to, being a UFC fan, I had to stop them and talk to them. The people that I met there was Miranda, Maverick, and her family, and I got to know them a little bit. And she was on her way back from Branson that night. So with that being said, we've kind of known each other through social media over the time, and now a series of events have brought us together again here today for this. I want to welcome Miss Miranda Fear the Maverick to ORPtv.
Thank you very much.
Now, Miranda, how many years have you been involved in MMA?
MMA I've been doing since I turned actually 18. As soon as I turned 18, I knew I was going to be moving to Springfield for Drury University for college. So 18 is when I actually started in MMA. But I started jiu-jitsu when I was 16 years old and was able to drive myself to Springfield for lessons.
Where was you living at then that you had to drive to Springfield?
I live in Tunis, Missouri. It's where my family's based, and we have a farm out there, and that's where my family lives. And I would travel during the school year from Buffalo High School up to Springfield to practice about once every other Thursday.
So that was quite a commitment to drive just to Springfield just to do that,
Yep.
you know. How did you get into MMA? Why MMA?
My dad's over here, but
Right.
my whole life being raised, we wrestled and played around in the living room and stuff like that. And I grew up working on a farm, and it just made me, I noticed, stronger and just had a little bit more work ethic to me than most people growing up. And as I grew up, Dad was big into self-defense and making sure that I could take care of myself because
Right.
I was going out from the farm. I'm the oldest child, and I'm his girl. So it started out as a self-defense venture, and we saw the UFC and we watched that all the time and noticed that jiu-jitsu seemed to be the biggest thing out there and the best for a woman to learn as far as self-defense. So I started doing that. I asked Dad, I was like, hey, can I go train? I really want to train at an actual gym. And he's like, yeah, well, you need to stop some of your other sports. And he's like, yeah, sure, you're going to take care of it, and you need to figure out a way to pay for gas money. But yeah,
Right.
go to a gym. If you can find one, you achieve that dream. And we were watching a UFC fight at one point. It was Ronda Rousey's first fight in the UFC, and now I'm not her biggest fan anymore, but I used to be.
Right.
I still respect her as a pioneer for women's MMA, and she did amazing. And I saw her fight, and Dad was like, hey, you could do that one day. And I was like, no, I don't want punched in the face. That doesn't sound fun at all.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
He was like, I think you could do it. You could
Yeah.
be world champ one day. So, I mean, that's my dream.
Well, that kind of leads me into what I was going to ask you. Why MMA over the other sports? But apparently you did some other sports.
Yeah.
Why individual sports?
I was better at it.
Better
I
at
was
the-
better at it. I did jiu-jitsu, and I noticed that everything else I'm great at. Like, I'm good at, I'm an athlete. I was able to do pretty good in track and basketball and the sports that I had tried, but I wasn't ever the best. And it was frustrating to me. I don't see spending my time in something that I know I'm never going to achieve much in. And you can't get money from those things, honestly. Like, you can't make a living doing wrestling. You can't make a living doing basketball until you get to the very end pros. And I
Right.
knew I wasn't going to make it to that point. To where MMA was giving me valuable lessons as I did it anyway. So I figured, why not try this? And so far, it's worked out pretty good for me.
So when you tell people that you're an MMA fighter, what's their reaction to you?
It depends on what environment they meet me in.
Right.
When I'm at school or when I'm at work, honestly, no one believes it. They're like, but you're a sweet girl. You're so little. And I'm like, yeah, I'm little.
I will
and
kick the crap out of you.
right. And they expect you, I'm doing a research project this year. I'm a senior in college, and I'm doing a research project over stereotypes in women's MMA.
How did your parents react to you wanting to get into MMA?
My dad pushed it the whole time, and I don't know if I can get him in the interview or not. I'll have him
He's
come
pretty
over here in
busy
a minute.
being social right
Hey,
now.
Dad!
Now,
This is
you
my
can
dad.
see yourself
Yeah.
on camera there a
Yeah.
little bit.
There we go.
This is Mr.
don't want
Maverick.
to.
Well, that's okay. How did you take to, wow, the room just got quiet. I mean, you have a presence here that all of a sudden everybody wanted to hear what you had to say. How did you respond to Miranda saying, I want to get into MMA? My daughter, oldest one, played soccer, and all of them did, but I didn't want to see her on the field getting run into. When she's going to go into a cage and people are going to strike her, how as a parent did you, I mean, you know she's going to inflict punishment, but then when she starts getting it inflicted on her, how does a parent, do you handle that?
I knew who she was, and I was actually more worried about her opponents than
Gotcha.
her. And until her actual first fight, it never bothered me. But only when she goes in does it bother me. But no forethought goes in there.
I tell him every time, don't have a heart attack, because he gets more excited about the fights than I do. Like leading up to him, even he's like, "Don't be nervous." Meanwhile, he's like having a heart
pacing.
attack back there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I tell her not to be nervous
Yeah, right.
because I'm plenty nervous for both of us.
That's right.
But she grabbed a hold of me one day in front of a friend, and she went for a double leg takedown, and she got it, and only she picked me up. And I reached back and grabbed a fence behind me to keep from going down.
Right.
And
Can't do that in MMA.
She pulled me away from the fence and started to take me down, and being sympathetic, she slowed the descent and laid me down in the yard gently, and my friend just said, she picked up a 225-pound man and then slowed him down before he hit the ground, so I know that she's okay in the cage.
She is a strong woman.
She is.
How is wrestling then? Because you wrestle for jury. How do you balance the two? Because they're similar, but yet they're incredibly
they're very,
different.
very different, and people don't really realize how different they are. In fact, like now that I am a pro, I can't compete with the jury wrestling team, but I practice with them a lot.
Okay.
Now every single guy on that team can beat me, and I'll just be honest about that in wrestling. But
Right.
as soon as submissions get involved or anything like that, like sometimes we'll have fun and just do submission wrestling. I easily hold my own or do better than almost all of them. And it's just a difference between, for me, I'm comfortable on my back. Like, I can beat you just as easy from my back that I can on top. And in wrestling, they don't want to go to their back.
Right.
So wrestlers have a lot of bad habits that in doing jiu-jitsu you don't have.
Well, and part of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is fighting from your back.
That's right.
So that's where you're comfortable at, because that's
Right.
just...
And
Exactly.
Miranda got a full ride scholarship to college. She had a 34 on her ACT. She's very intelligent, so that also
Obviously,
translates into her fighting. She's a very intelligent fighter,
does
as
help.
well as being physically strong.
It's quite a chess match, the fighting. Now, what's the hardest part of your training that you do? Thank you, Mr. Maverick, for being part of it. Now, as far as your training goes, what is the toughest part?
Probably the mental part. The weight cutting is a big issue there. For me, I've tried to get to 115 now a couple times, and I may try it in the future, but for now I'm going to hold back and go to 125 again for a while. But that whole mental aspect of staying strong the whole time, pushing yourself beyond your limits every single day, but at the same time having control within those practices. You know, they say don't hurt your gym dummy. You know, don't hurt
Right.
your training partners as you go, and that's something you have to remember. But at the same time, they need to push you. You know, and weight cutting is always what I call the hardest fight leading up to my fights, and it just it's a whole mental battle because of how much effort it actually takes that people don't realize.
What about snacks? And because I've seen on Facebook where you've talked about when your friends let you eat cake
right, that's
before.
right.
What is the hardest thing you have to restrain from during
This
weight
sounds
cutting?
odd, but I have always been almost an addict to milk. I grew
Milk?
up on a
You
farm.
grew on a farm?
Yeah, I grew up on a farm. We literally have milk cows. Like, we drink whole milk from milk cows. And
okay.
for me, I'll drink a gallon of milk a day, and people don't
Wow.
believe that at all. But I'm like, I do. It's easy for me. Like, I'll just chug a quarter of milk for a lunch or something.
Yeah.
And for me, I have to stay away from that and like honey and peanut butter during my
So,
battles because they're healthy, and
yeah.
you get that in your mind that
Right.
it's healthy. And then you add up the calories and all this stuff, and you're like, oh, it's not healthy in that
Right.
condition at all. So I just have to completely limit it.
So after a fight, what is something that you reward yourself or treat yourself with?
After the fights,
Yeah.
we have went out to
IHOP,
IHOP
I
almost
know.
every single time, and a lot of it's because it's so late at night, but it's good. Every time I want carbs so bad. I'm like, let's just go get pancakes.
Right.
Let's get pancakes, let's get eggs. And just have fun with the family and just sit there. So it's always that, and I always have to get chocolate milk. It doesn't even matter. I have to have chocolate milk.
Chocolate milk is the treat for
Yeah,
you
right,
versus
exactly,
regular milk.
Exactly.
Now, the reason we're here today is because of what happened to your family. Now, talk about that a little bit.
So I was with my best friend, and we were getting ready to go to the hot tub. Actually, we were having fun after practice and just going to go relax. We got a phone call from my dad, and he's like, "Hey, we might want to talk privately for a minute. Like, it's fine. Like, I'm just remaining calm. It's fine. Just call me back when you can, okay?" And I was like, "All right." And so I stayed out in the truck while Elle went on in. She was going to eat a little something and then go to the hot tub. And I was like, "I'll be in there in a few minutes." And he broke the news to me that our house was gone. He just kind of was like, "Listen, like, we got here. They had just went on a trip. They came back, and they were like, it's almost 11 o'clock at this point. Maybe it was 10. And he's like, all of our stuff's gone. Like, the house is burnt down." And I was like, what do you mean, like, burnt down? He's like, "Literally nothing. It's ashes."
So you had lost everything.
We had lost everything as far as personal belongings are concerned. Now, we have our shed, so tools and things like that, and even a couple boxes of keepsakes, luckily, were left up in that shed because it had some storage space compared to what our house did. So we have a little bit of stuff, but, you know, there's always pictures, there's always memories that are in there. There's all of our clothes, like that kind of thing got lost, and immediately, like, you know, I was really upset. I was very upset, and Elle saw me, and she was like, "Oh my God, what happened?" I told her, and, you know, I was like, "Let's just keep it quiet and stuff." And next thing I know, my whole gym and everybody knows about it because she had told them, and they were pulling together, started GoFundMe and all this stuff, and here we are today.
How does your faith play into this adversity that you've had to deal with? How does that give you strength?
I'd say I wouldn't have anything or be doing anything that I'm doing if it weren't for my belief in God and growing up with that. I credit Him for not only my ability to be able to do things, but the mental mindset to be able to use my potential that He's given me. And that's always my thing. They're like, "You really think God would want you to fight? Like, you think you won that fight because of God?" And I'm like, no, it's not that He, like, wants me to beat anybody or anything like that. That's not what I feel.
You didn't have a rooting interest.
Yeah, right. It's that He gave me these certain talents, and He's allowing me to use them.
Right.
And He allows me the ability to be healthy and do this. He allows me the ability to have strength, have the genetics I have the support that I have from this great group of people. He allowed me the opportunity to somehow magically move to Springfield, Missouri, find this fight club, and now here I am, you know. My dreams, when Invicta called me up for that first fight, that was, I mean, I was absolutely bawling my eyes out in the middle of work after I had realized that had happened, and it was just absolutely astounding to me. And I credit God with that. I want to give all the glory to Him because I know I couldn't have anything if it weren't for that.
Something that I'm really interested in is how you balance your faith and Christian values with combat sports, because it seems like they would be in direct contrast.
A lot of people are like,
each other.
how are you Christian to beat up people, you know? And for me, it's like any other sport to me. People see it as more violent and all this other stuff, but two people are agreeing to do something that we both know how to do. We're trained in doing it. I started out for self-defense. It doesn't really matter what that other person started as, but I'm just like, this is our potential, going against each other. I'm not trying to kill this person necessarily. I'm just going after my own dream, regardless of what it is. And I think God expects us to reach our potential and make more of it. And through my fighting, I feel like I try to, I don't know how to word it, but advertise for the Lord. I thank God every time, and I want people to know, like, that's why I'm there. I didn't get there from my own reasons or because I'm the best in the world or anything like that. It's because He's been with me the whole way along with my family and friends.
So it's a way for you to spread the word in your faith. And
that's how I feel about it.
Right.
Yes.
So what is next for you in MMA down the road? Is the 5-year, 10-year goal?
Just recently I publicly announced it, and so some people already know. I have a 6-fight contract upcoming after this next fight, and July is probably when my next fight will be, maybe August. We are just waiting to see, depending on how I come back from this injury. But after that, I'll have a 6-fight contract waiting for me. Within that, we've figured title fights, so that's going to be awesome.
And that's in Invicta?
That's in Invicta, and within that, I'm allowed to go to the UFC. The contract will be nulled at that point if I get invited by the UFC, and that's my goal. That's my ultimate goal, is to be the world champion, the youngest world champion in the UFC.
That's awesome. What else can our people that are here today and people watching this can do to help you and your family?
Honestly, like, I couldn't have ever asked for anything more than this. This has been an amazing experience as far as realizing how many people are out there helping. And at the same time, how many people are willing to take their time out and help other people. It's been great for me to see that people are like that, you know. Like, we always see the bad in the world, and you see it everywhere on the news and in your own lives. And like, I have trust issues and things. Like, I just don't trust people that much, and I wait until I get to know them. And everybody that came out here today, like, selflessly is coming out here to just help me and my family, and it's been an amazing experience.
When is the next fight?
It'll most likely be July or August is when my next fight will be. I might have competitions leading up to that, though.
So you might have some
Jiu-jitsu
exhibitions,
competitions
right,
and things like that, though.
but not a striking
Right.
combat thing. So
Correct.
your next actual cage fight
Yes, it's potentially in July or August.
be
yes.
July or August. Okay. So, and where can we watch those fights at?
UFC Fight Pass is where most of them show on in Invicta, and a lot of Invicta's fights are based in Kansas City, so it's not too far away if you guys want to come out and watch them.
Absolutely.
How long before you're the champ?
From a heckler. Oh no, that was Mr. Maverick. How long is it till you see, like, you have a mindset, we all have like an ultimate goal. What is kind of that in pencil goal that you have? Is that I want to have a title fight?
I want to have an Invicta title fight by the time I turn 22. That's the goal for
Which
me, is
is
to be the world champion.
next
It'll
year?
be the next July, yeah.
So you
And
set
so I'm
yourself
hoping
kind of.
within a year, basically, of fighting.
So that's a year and a half, though, about.
Yeah,
Basically, you got
from
about an
here.
18-month
Yeah.
goal here, or a year from your next fight.
And I figure I'll have about 4 fights max leading up to that, and I'll have a chance at the title.
So that's where you're at right now, is that keep fighting.
That's right.
And
That's right. And if UFC calls me up, great.
well,
see.
Dana White, I'm
Yeah,
sure he
that's
knows how
right.
to get a hold
Yeah,
of
he
you. You
does.
know, it's great to see. Springfield Fight Club has told me that they had some men turn pro, but you're their first pro female.
Yes.
Do you feel any extra pressure being that?
Not extra pressure necessarily. I feel proud. I was also the first girl who got a blue belt at Springfield Fight Club, as far as I know, and that's what the coaches said as they wrapped it around me, you know. And for
That's
me,
awesome.
it just, not necessarily extra pressure, but I am encouraged by people putting more responsibility on me almost, and that's how I've been kind of raised. And so the more people looking up to me and stuff like that and depending on me to do stuff, I'm like, I've got to do this now. I'm representing these people too. And so for me, Springfield Fight Club is definitely that way. I'm one of the only girls they've had, and I'm representing them as a pro athlete now, and I've got to go out there and show that they've taught me the correct things, that they've, like Brett, almost every time before fights, he doesn't want to mention, but almost every time before fights, we'll go over a certain technique, or he'll correct something I'm doing wrong when we're just warming up, and he'll be like, "Oh, what are you doing? Like, fix that." And the last 2 fights, he said it, and I've won with that exact same
That's
thing.
awesome. That's awesome. Now, what most importantly, what you probably want, I know you want to hit on here, is some of your sponsors, the ones who make it possible, who give you, whether it's financial support, training support, supplement support, or just spiritual support.
I have a lot of sponsors, but my main ones as of right now are Victory Beef LLC. He's been supportive all through my Invicta fighting career and brought me into his this last time. Supplement Superstores, although they don't officially sponsor me, I'll still count them as one because they've been helping me this whole road. Midtown Dental, they give me my mouth guards, and he just helps me out every now and then financially, as well as like advertising me at Drury University and stuff.
Awesome.
And then even the Drury Wrestling team has been doing that too, and it's been awesome to be a part of them because I help them, they help me as
Right.
far as promotionally. And then I have like Persuasive Apparel. I have Girl Clothing that took me out to do a commercial and a video.
That's
when I was
right.
in
I saw
LA,
that.
so-
That was awesome.
Yeah, that was amazing to me. It was my first time traveling on my own. It was a little bit scary, but I loved it. You know, it was an amazing opportunity. And I have Hayabusa that sponsors me, and that's a big fight wear company, if you guys
Right,
don't know about
right.
that. So that's been awesome as well.
Well, Miranda, it's absolutely a personal pleasure to be able to say that I know Miranda
That's
Maverick.
right, and now you're
it-
my sponsor.
And now ORPtv is in fact a sponsor, and we're going to be trying to help out with some of the promotional things and videos and pictures and such. It's great to be a part of your team and to be somebody that I know that I can call you a friend, and that means a lot to me. And I wish your family nothing but the best, and we're going to be cheering you on, as I know all these people are, and you're going to go far. It's obvious. You're too strong and beautiful, and talented not to have a lot of success in your future. So
appreciate it.
thank you very much for Miranda. Let's hear a round of applause for Miranda Maverick. Thank you so much. For ORPtv, I'm Craig Stegner, and we have been here at Bear Sports Bar and Grill. Thank you so very much, Miranda.
Thank you. I
We'll
appreciate
see you
it.
in
Thank
July.
you.
'Cause my roots, they run deep. Oh, oh yeah, you've so little faith. Don't doubt it, don't doubt it. Victory is in my veins. I know it, I know it. And I will not negotiate. I'll fight it, I'll fight it.